Hello, welcome. It is lovely to see your face again. If you're returning, if you're new here, I hope you enjoy this little space where we talk about, it used to just be knitting, but over time we've developed, we've learned, and kind of more lately we've got more and more into other things as well. So today I do have a knitting project to share with you and a few other projects which I'm really excited about, and the long-term projects that I'm working on I haven't worked on this week, which is a bit of a shame, but it's busy around here, which is good. We're excited. But I'm quite excited about my long-term project. I'm not going to share about it yet, just because I haven't quite figured out where we're going with it, which is kind of exciting to me. But anyway, back to where we're at. This weekend I'm going to Unravel, which is a UK yarn festival in Farnham Maltings. If you're going to be there and you're brave, come say hi. Not because I bite or anything, just because I'm a bit of a weirdo. Yeah, it would be lovely to see some familiar faces and meet some new faces, and we always have a lovely time. I'm hoping to do a bit more filming this time so that I can actually share more of the event with you. I should have a bit of free time to do so, which is exciting. I'm spending quite a bit of time there. Anyway, let's come back to where we're gonna be today. I guess, heads up, I am wearing, this is a really modified version of my Drop Dead Freddy jumper. My Drop Dead Freddy jumper is a striped drop shoulder jumper with drop stitches, and this has none of the above. This I modified to have these big voluminous sleeves, and it's got a little peplum at the bottom too. All very easy modifications to make, but so this is just a thing. This yarn was gifted to me by my lovely friends that came over to visit from Canada, and underneath I am wearing a Jessie May's My Secret Little Crop. It's the ribbed one in some yarn that I hand dyed years ago, so these are a bit of a weird items to be wearing because you can't make them, but you can make them. You can do whatever you want yourself, which is why I make videos these days. You can do all the crafting you want, be brave about it. I don't know why I'm all a bit weird. I think it's because I haven't sat and spoken to you like this for a little while. But yeah, I think that's why we're here. To say you can do the thing. Do the thing. Make yourself happy. Make all the whimsical, enjoyable things that you would like in your wardrobe. Oh no. Oh, what? Did I wake you up? That is little Audrey, who is the in-house house tiger, my little familiar. The first item I'd like to share with you is my Móinéar. I really hope I haven't ruined that name, but it is a pattern by Albiona McLaughlin, who used to go as LB Hand Knits and is a designer that I really like. I love the way she tackles shaping. I love the simplicity of how they're written. She's just a designer that I've really liked, and anything that I have knitted from her so far, I've been really, really happy with the outcome. It is slightly different, I would say, to other popular designers, in that, you know, sometimes you're given amount of skeins and a rough yardage and weight rather than an accurate-ish yardage recommendation or estimation. So a pattern, instead of saying 850 meters thereabouts, it will say 4 to 5 160 to 200 meter skeins, which I kind of like the flexibility of, and so far I've actually had quite a lot of yarn left when I've gone on to the top of that estimation. But there's a few things like that I find with the patterns, but I quite like it. It's just makes you feel a bit more free to be like, oh, I do have DK weight yarn, or I do have sport weight yarn, and I think I can get, so I really like them. The Móinéar is a raglan jumper with a beautiful yoke, and I had been wanting to knit it for quite a while. I think especially when she re-released it, she shared these beautiful pictures of a green and red version, and the girl's got like a red pom-pom headband, which I think it comes with instructions for, and I do have leftover yarn, and I'm thinking now that would be kind of fun, and it would be fun to make it in time for Unravel this weekend. But yeah, I ended up doing the, I want to say the second size, and I used this fennel seed, it's called, is the colourway, from Knitting for Olive in the heavy merino base. This was sent to me very kindly from Unit Toronto a while ago, and I was going to use it for a different project, but it just didn't happen. It didn't happen, and I feel bad about that, but also I'm really, really glad that I had it to put into this project, and I'm surprised. This yarn behaved differently to what I expected. It's held up a lot better. I was worried that because it is merino and it's kind of, I think each ply's spun a fair amount, not too much, but it seems quite loosely spun to have held up as well as it has. So that's fennel seed. And this is my hand spun yarn, which was a custom made bat from Yarntings, who is a dyer that I've got to know quite well over the last few months. I'm very grateful to have a fairly close to home fibre friend. And if you haven't seen previously, I don't like to mention things too many times because I feel like I get a bit monotonous, but just this was a fun project because what Charmaine offers is a surprise bat, so you can go in and say, like, I don't know, the Shire or Mordor, or as I did, Midnight Mass, and she curated the fibres kind of to my taste too. Luckily, she actually knew a little bit after I spoke to her the first time I met her, and I was like, yeah, I really like Jacob yarn and I really like mohair. I'm a bit predictable like that, and she used both mohair and Jacob in this bat. And I had so much fun spinning it. So yeah, I was really, really happy with the outcome that I received. I imagined Midnight Mass being definitely, obviously, nighttime, but in the church with the stained glass windows, and there's like a warmth to everyone, and that's kind of exactly what happened. When I was thinking about my Móinéar, I was like, yeah, this would be a really good contrast colour, and I initially thought I might do a black or a light grey as the main colour, but the light grey / black would have totally made this lost, and it didn't feel right. And I think I was even on camera and I was like, I had a sudden realisation, because I only have 2 sweaters quantities of a main colour in my wall pantry at the moment. I've got plenty of yarn that is all a bit bitty that we're going to start weaving and doing things with, but luckily this was one of them, and I had that thought, and straight away I just, even though I wasn't going to cast on, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it, and it really did fly. It was such a fun project to work on. I love colour work, but I've realised over the years that there's a certain type of colour work that I love to wear, and I would have thought that maybe this would have been too bold, but I've worn this loads, and I'll show you it quickly before I show you some of the process. I think it's fun to share the process of the making. Here she is. I love the ribbing, the contrasted ribbing, and I think I just cast on with one colour. I think in the pattern it offers up doing it alternating, but I had seen other versions where it was just one colour, and I just thought it was, for me, a bit prettier, and I quite like the darker, more darkness next to my face. I just do. And yeah, it has short row shaping. I really like the sleeves. You don't do any decreases, and then you do a little round of decreases before you do the ribbing, which always makes me happy. That's the sleeve shape that I've grown to really love. Do you want to see the floats? Is that something people still do? I don't know why we do that, but yeah, my floats. Yeah. So I'll quickly share some of the footage of the making process, and once this is done, I will put this on and show you it on my person.
The gentleman who looks like he's seen quite a bit of conflict in his life. Like you can get a glance that he's like maybe in his.
Overall, I am absolutely thrilled by this piece. It didn't feel like it was a garment that should be in my wardrobe, in that, it's a lighter colour, it's flowery colour work, but actually it is perfect and highly representative of what I'm kind of wearing at the moment, I guess. So I'm super thrilled, and there's so many variations that you could do that would give such a different feel to this garment. I truly love the original in the, it's like a pale mossy green, like grassy mossy green, with a really rich cherry red for the colour work. I just love it. If I was to do it again, I'd gladly do that, but we need to stop reknitting the same thing 8 times. So we're not going to have another one of these in my wardrobe, unless this one should, give up its ghost. But super pleased, and a pattern that I would gladly recommend. So the next project is a pair of needle-bound mittens. They are something that I didn't realise that I would love so much. But I ended up making a pair of fingerless mitts while we were en route to York a little while back. Something about going to York and doing the York stitch just felt right, so I needle bound a pair of fingerless mitts in the car on the way up. I learnt from my previous mistakes to make them as I go, so 2 at a time almost, and note down what I did where, so that if I stopped making them, I knew where I was and they were the same, which is the first time I've been able to achieve that. So I'm nearly on my way to making some needle-bound socks, which is very exciting. If you don't know what needle binding is, it's the precursor to knitting, if you will. You use a needle, you could use a tapestry needle and measure using your thumb. I didn't get on with the over the thumb method, so I actually like to use my needle as a gauge. And so far the only stitch I have come to terms with is the York stitch, but I think that's going to change. So when I finished the pair, I actually have found that I am wearing them all the time, whether I'm doing stuff in the garden, whether I'm, out and about walking. I found that I've made them so fitted that they feel just right. They don't catch on anything. The fabric's dense and cozy, and I had planned to make some mittens to match my Sky Hill hat by Emily Foden that I recently finished. I've got it here. And truthfully, I can't be sure if I've shared this project or not, but nevertheless it is a fairly simple hat that I really, really like. It's black. And I used Plutalopi, a single strand of an alpaca silk that I have on a cone, and some mohair. I wanted something that was going to be warm, lightweight, and also fairly gentle on my hair, in that the Plutalopi isn't going to be, but hopefully the addition of the silk, alpaca and mohair, it will be a little bit more lenient. And I wanted to make a pair of mittens to match. And I knew what yarn I wanted to use, and I wanted to use some hand-spun fibre. And honestly, this fibre has been so special. It's brought me so much joy, and the preparation of it was actually really fun. It's something that I hadn't previously worked with in the way that it was. And lovely Antonella of Cozy Posy Yarn Co. very kindly sent me just the most outrageous goodie box a little while back, and it featured this Shetland roving that was just... I mean, look at this colour. This is not just the most beautiful natural colour. It was prepared beautifully. I'll put in some footage of me spinning it. had so much fun. I don't know. I'm not a count my wraps per inch, count my twists particularly kind of spinner. I'm quite intuitive, and I think that's just the way. It's just what I do. I want to learn, but I have to learn by doing, and sometimes that has to just be a bit of play. I don't know. But I did get a very nice Aran weight yarn from it, which was what I was aiming for, because I felt like if there were going to be the knitted mittens, I would need something that holds up to a 5mm needle, and I thought this would be about right. I did a 2-ply. It almost wanted to be spun in a day. I really had to work to like put it down and come back to it over a few days, because it was really lovely. I can't stop grinning. So here's what I have left. And what I did was I ended up using the same stitch count as I did for the first pair of fingerless mitts I did. I can put that down somewhere if that's useful to anyone, but I think with needle binding it's so much easier to just do some loops and then try it and keep doing it, which is annoying if you don't have the person there with you if it's another person, but there's ways around that. But I can do that if it's useful. And yeah, off I went. Unfortunately, I've lost the tail end of the footage, which is actually where the interesting things started to happen, so I'm sorry about that. I don't really know. I'm really trying to be better at documenting the whole processes of things, and I've got so many projects that I've documented that I'm going to share, hopefully more like this in the future. We're going to do less. Here's a thing that I made, and more like, here's the process, not a tutorial as such, but hopefully you can get an idea of how simple it is to do some of these things, and maybe do some yourself or be inspired to try something different yourself. But I'll pop the footage in and then I'll see you in a sec. So here they are, and you might be asking, why on earth did you leave your little thumb nubs out? Well, since we do a lot of, and we're doing more, I wanted to keep doing more nature walks, and I like to be able to focus on things on my camera. I thought I'd leave the thumbs out, and actually I knew these would be so warm that even if my thumbs are out, it doesn't get that cold in the UK, so I'd be fine. But I love them. I might go in and redo the join. Now, I made this up as I went along, and I essentially treated it like a Kitchener stitch, but instead of, doing it in the V shape, I was just working across as you would in the round, but going from one side to the other and just doing that. But I ended up using my thumb as a gauge. So what I think I need to do is to go back, undo it, which should be fairly simple, and just pull it tight so that it doesn't have this seam. I'm not offended by it, but it will just make it a little bit neater and they'll look a little bit less handmade, I think. Oh, and I've got an end hanging out there. But I love them. They're so, they feel supportive, if that makes sense. They're not tight, they're just there, they're sturdy. And the thickness of the fabric is absolutely divine. It's like 3 Aran weight wraps. Yeah, I'm super happy with them. I was quite amazed that something so dark can have stitch definition, and I think that's quite cool that I've been able to achieve that with handspun. Yeah, I'd 10 out of 10 recommend giving needle binding a go. You can do it with, whatever tapestry needle you weave in ends with quite easily if you want to give it a go. I've knitted quite a few pairs of colourwork mittens and I tend to just give them away. I've got one pair that I've kept that are grey and black and I wear them frequently. I did them like a year apart in the early stages of my knitting, so one fits me much better than the other. One I knew about colour dominance, the other one I didn't. So there's real differences in the mittens, which is why I wouldn't part with them. And actually it's quite a nice reminder, hey, yarn dominance is a thing. Don't do things too far apart because your emotions change, your knitting style changes, environment changes that leads to your knitting changing, all those things. If you don't know yarn dominance, if you're doing colour work, generally whatever yarn you hold to the left will be the most prominent colour. Simple as that. So when I'm using the black and grey, the black was meant to be like the contrast, the pop colour. In some of the sections it just kind of melded a little bit, and it's not the end of the world, but it's just nice to know so you can get that high contrast situation. Anyway, I'm definitely a convert. I think the single colour, they go with everything. They don't detract from what I'm wearing. They're just, I couldn't be happier. This was the best way to use this, and now I'm not sure what this should be. These two are like, almost like best buddies. Yes. The final thing is a project that I've been trying to look after my hair in loads of different ways lately, and I don't know where this came from. I think it was just realising that where we live in Watford has like off the scale, actually quite terrifying quality of water. It's really not good. And I'm concerned about it going inside my body, but I hadn't realised how much it had affected my hair long term. Bit of waffle, sorry. And, every time I was going up north or somewhere on holiday, I was like, my hair feels a lot nicer, it's easier to brush, all those things. So all that to say, I learnt that and have slowly been just incorporating little things to look after my hair. And one of the things is to make sure that I tuck the ends up and away if I've got my hair up, or as often as possible, just to stop them, getting beaten up by the world. It's unusual for me to have it down at the moment, but I quite like having my hair down. It's just in the way when I'm making. So So what I wanted to do is to make, or to have, a barrette that I could put over my hair when it's in a bun and just like, it's just hidden from the elements. I want to line the inside of this, but that will happen in the future with something softer. We'll talk about that in a second. So I went online and I did a little search, and I was going to just get a hair fork, and I was like, actually, I have stuff in the house. I use double pointed needles all the time to put my hair up. I much prefer a stick than an elastic. More recently I've been using like ribbons and using my headscarves again, which I used to love wearing. So all those things. And I was like, I've got these. I just need something to go over it, and I could probably figure out a way of using fabric. But I remembered that I have some leftover leather from when I made my Viking shoes, which I still have all the footage of. We'll get there. And yeah, I was like, well, let's just make a whimsical little hair barrette. Here she is. I'll pop in footage of making it, and I'll come back to you. So it was a super quick project. I literally whipped it up the morning of a friend visiting, just so that I could have it drying and ready to wear as soon as possible. And I'm really happy with it. It is about the right size for tucking in my small amount of hair into a bun. I can wear it just through when it's half up, half down, and it looks quite cute, a bit hobbity. What I want to do is to make it even more gentle on my hair. I want to add a layer of something really, really soft, maybe silk or satin, I guess. But that might be a project that I'm working on in the future. But other than that, like, it's been great. I can change what size needle goes through it. I'm currently using a 5.5mm, and it's about perfect. I only need the one stick to hold my hair up. And yeah, I just thought it was a really fun little quick make. Obviously you could dye it interesting colours. I just used what I had to hand for all of this, which happened to be rust and vinegar combined to make a lovely dark black grey colour, which is my vibe. I'd be inclined to make more if I ever needed more. Maybe make some as gifts, I don't know. But super happy with this little hobbit-y make. And finally, I just wanted to share a little bit of footage from a few little outings. One being the Ainu Stories, I believe it's pronounced, which was an event that's still on, I believe, at Japan House in London. And we went for Alex's birthday, little day out, and it was really inspiring. It's worth, if you can and you feel inclined, I've tried to take a little bit of footage of the writing, and I've tried to also freeze the frame in a way that you could pause it and read it if you wanted to, but also not left it on the screen long enough that it should be boring if you're not inclined to read, if that makes sense. But it was really, really, I don't know, I'm inspired by crafts that require tools that we can make or, you know, have easy access to, and seeing the way people live a more simple and, I don't know, thoughtful lifestyle, I guess. So really, really special event. It's free if you are in London or around London and you want to visit. Making it very accessible. It's only small. It took just, I guess we were there for an hour and a half. It's one room. And I didn't feel overwhelmed. When I go to a museum or an exhibition, often I feel like I've just absorbed, I get to a point I can't absorb any more information, especially if I'm excited about something. And this was just the right amount. There was some beautiful footage of them building houses and the way they build houses, and I didn't actually get any footage of that, but really, really inspiring and beautiful, and so many beautiful crafts, a really inspiring exhibition, and the craftsmanship that went into so many of the items that are on display was just amazing. There you go.
Okay, you want to do some spoon carving?
Yeah, and some weaving. And finally, I just wanted to take you out on a little nature walk. We went to Rickmansworth Aquadrome, which is quite near to where we live. We wanted to do a little morning walk recently, and it was just, I don't know, every time I'm outside at the moment, I just like grin from ear to ear. It's so nice to leave the house and to listen to the birds. The birds are all practicing at the moment, and it's really quite wonderful. Alex got some lovely footage of some singing happening. Yeah, I'm just leaning into the farm emo, woodland witch, hobbit vibes, and it's just making me very happy lately. So I will leave you with that little adventure. Hopefully it will provide you a few moments of calm. yeah, don't forget to love each other, and I really hope to see you again very soon.